Hello, today I am going to show you how to make this rustic kitchen island. This tutorial is easy and fit for beginners because the doors and drawers are non-functional. I made this mainly for decoration in the kitchen studio project. Before you begin, prepare and cut the materials referring to the measurements in the description box. Take the top piece and draw several margins on each side. We will use the margin as a guide to glue the other pieces. Draw a 5 mm margin on one of the long sides. Then draw a 16 mm margin on the opposite side. Then draw a 7 mm margin on both the short sides. It should look like this. The next step is optional. Flip the top piece and create lines as a guide for scoring the front. I didn't really have an exact measurement for this, but I tried to make the gaps as even as possible. Using a screwdriver or something blunt, score each line, and depending on the craft wood you are using, you might need to put more force or less force. And here how it looks like. For now, set them aside. Take the two long sidings and two short sidings and glue them on the sides of the top piece. Then set them aside. Take the side piece and the molding pieces. First, we are going to cut an angle on each end of the wood strips. Before gluing the pieces together, try to fit them first and see if you need some adjustments. Then glue the moldings on the side piece. And here are the finished pieces. Now take the front piece and add margins, so you would know where to put the drawers and the doors. On both short sides of the front piece, I added 7 mm margins because this is the size of my table legs. Refer the margins based on the table legs you are using. Then I added a 4 mm margin on one of the long sides and 7 mm margin on the opposite side. Take all your doors and drawers and sand the edges to create a beveled edge. Sometimes when you sand the edges, some of them are not even. You can use a nail file to even out the edges. Because with the nail file, you can position the piece facing towards you. That way, you can see which part is uneven and you can correct them without over-sanding the piece. Do this to all your doors and drawers. To glue the pieces, I started gluing the 3 drawers that will be located on the upper part. And then I added an extra 2 mm space for each drawer. Then I used the upper drawers as a guide to place the remaining pieces. And lastly, I added the foot. Once you have all your pieces ready, you can paint it with your desired color. And here I used a mixture of burned ombre and white gesso to create this color. And I am using this as a primer. After you prime each pieces, set them aside and let them completely dry. And then after the primer dried or the first color, I then coated all the pieces with ivory color. So I am just gonna show you the front piece being painted to cut the video short. Again, let them completely dry before proceeding to the next step. After the paint dried, I then sanded the edges so that the first paint will be visible, giving the whole thing a rustic look. If you are using an acrylic paint and it seems to stick really hard and you have difficulty sanding them off, you can use a wet cloth to make it softer and remove some of the coatings before sanding it again. On the top piece, I use a small screwdriver to run the already scored area. Next, prepare all the pieces and start gluing them together. So I started gluing the front piece and then followed by the sides and then the back. And then I added the legs last. And as you can see, I did not bother putting any bottom on the island because I'm going to glue this directly on the floor. And lastly, I added the hardware using store-bought metal brace handle, which I painted with copper color because the doorknob I have are just the head of a hemming pin and the color was black, and this is the only color I could find to suit the table and also suit the other metal hardware. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to click the subscribe button if you haven't yet and get notified for new videos. Bye bye and see you next Saturday.